What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Don't Forget About Me, the Supernova version, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, now is the time. This is where the real test begins because we are seeing a full retracement for SPS. We are just at a penny with a probable chance that we go down from here. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not trying to be Papa Bear, but I will say that I've been expecting this, right? Now, here's the thing. With the movement today, us going down about 5.5%, 5.6%, this is more actually driven by the overall market, I would say. You can look at Bitcoin's down 3.3%. We're actually in line with ETH, right? Down 5.5% as well. And some of the other major tokens out there, right? Matic's down 5.9, Solana 4.4, 7.8 for Cardano, right? Negative 10% for Gala Games. So the entire market is moving down. And when the market reverses, if the market reverses, which hopefully will happen at some point, we could see obviously the benefits from that. So this isn't quite at the point where we are seeing, what's that called? Like a DEC oversupply. Although that is still like the main thing for me, right? How much demand is there that we can start activating the flywheel, not on a, major basis, but on a minor basis. And I keep talking about this in a lot of these videos where it's just like, are we buying SPS consistently? Whether it's us, whether it's the team, because of new capital coming in, because of demand for these packs. Now, if we go over to where the team's DEC is, actually, before we do that, let's talk about DEC real quick. DEC is actually still doing quite well, right? We're at 0.958, almost, 0.96, so it's not down that much from peg. And in fact, we've still seen people burning SPS, which is surprising, right? But burning SPS is not the same as buying SPS. There's a ton of SPS out in the ecosystem. There's plenty out there for people to burn, and a lot of people are burning it just out of the goodness of their hearts. But in terms of needing SPS and buying SPS in order to burn it for DEC, that is something else entirely. And if we go and take a look at where the team's DEC is at, and I have not checked this yet, so this will be kind of doing it live here with you, Steam Monsters is still sitting on 328 million DEC. They may have even more than that because I think some of this gets routed into the SL Market account. And so we'll just say like 330 million there. But the company, right, and if we use Splinter Cards' data here, all company wallets, according to Splinter Cards, is saying, 391 million. So if you just go with the roughly 40 million DEC per week that we would be seeing in terms of like credits transactions coming in, that's still, this is a good amount, right? Like this is 10 weeks. 10 weeks gets us into the middle of summer at this point. Let's just call May over. There's like one more week in May. So 10 weeks would get us through June, through July, into like the first week of August. That is when the team would run out of DEC, right? Ideally, and then start buying SPS off the marketplace in order to mint more DEC. Now, is the team going to dump this DEC on the marketplace to cover their bills or whatever the case is? They could, right? And that might create a situation where DEC actually goes down a little bit more, right? Maybe to the 940, 930, 920 range in order to, what's that called? Take profits for the team, or at least solidify whatever, revenue for them, while also creating a little bit of an opportunity for those in the market that are looking to buy packs, right? But want to spend, 5 to 8% cheaper if they can get it. So it'll create that incentive for cheaper packs overall and just cheaper, whatever you want to use DEC for, whether that could be land as well or land related items. If DEC goes down, that hopefully will create an opportunity for demand. But we're still like very, very far away from that. Now, the interesting thing here is the sooner we get through this DEC overhang that we have. And I still think that it's an overhang, whether the team's holding on to it or whether it's out in the ecosystem, it's still an overhang, right? We're seeing players are above a billion DEC once again, right? Once we get through that, or the sooner we get through that, the sooner we get to activating the flywheel. But I'm just giving you this time frame that it could take the entire summer. And with SPS being subject to external market forces, outside of like the Splinterlands ecosystem, right? As I was saying earlier, we're down with the rest of the market now. We might go up with the rest of the market if things change, or further down, right? Depending on what happens with Bitcoin and all the stuff that's going on with tariffs and not going to get into the political stuff, but a lot of that is dictating what's happening in regular traditional financial markets, which obviously is impacting Bitcoin, which then is the third order effects is the rest of crypto. So regardless of what happens out there, we want obviously the game to be resilient enough and the economy to be robust enough that the demand we're creating is completely independent of that. And we're still a ways away. Now, my guess is that we are still in a position where there's probably more demand than usual. I don't know if it's in the usual 30 to 40 million DEC or credits that are coming in. It could be higher than that, especially as we start to see more and more features roll out from the team, whether it comes to conflicts, whether it comes to more things on land, right? Whatever the case is, we could actually see that demand be a little bit higher than the 10-week time frame I was giving, right? If the company's sitting on 400 million DEC. That being said, keep in mind that the more demand that comes in right now, the more the team actually gets. Because if the team is getting, for example, we'll just say whatever, 40 million credits, they're only putting 20 million of DEC into the DAO, right? Because they're keeping the other amount for them. So it could actually be even longer than that. Or if people go and buy DEC off the marketplace, right? Right now you get a 4 or 5% discount. And you buy it, well, then the team's going to be adding, 2,000 DEC per pack. So this is a very dynamic shifting thing. I don't want to anchor that August date too much. I'm just using that as something for, I guess it is an anchor, even though it's an incorrect one, but it's just for the visualization of how far we would have to go if we were just looking at things rolling smoothly. But they're not rolling smoothly. Sometimes they're really good and maybe sometimes they're not, right? It all just depends on what's going on. I would say we're still in a position right now where there is a lot of demand. There is a lot of hype. There's still a lot of packs being open. I'm still getting the notifications of arcanes dropping left and right. So we're still in that situation where people are excited. Obviously, we're barely 10 days into Conclave Arcana, and I think that will continue for a little bit. But now is when the grind begins, in my opinion, and we will see just what happens with this DEC overhang. This was expected. I don't want people to think that this is something new. I've been talking about it for a while, even before Conclave Arcana came out. Pre-sales and any kind of major purchases have this potential to create this overhang, and how quickly we eat through that will show just how quickly we can get back to the flywheel. Because what ended up happening with Rebellion, and I'll close out with this, what ended up happening with Rebellion is that we got to that DEC overhang, and then instead of allowing us to kind of eat through that while Rebellion was still in print, we compounded that, or the team compounded it, by making all these fixes in the game that essentially dumped, the price of DEC, because we just inflated DEC with all of the Gladiator card burning. A lot of the, and I talked about this previously, but with the Wild Season Permit, a lot of the bot accounts ended up going offline, dumping SPS, dumping DEC, whatever the case is. So we never really got to truly experience that with Rebellion, whereas I think we can experience that here now. And considering that Conclave Arcana is going to be on the shelf until March-ish of next year, if we can get through that by August or sooner, or maybe even a little bit later than August, hell, let's just say September, right? If we can eat through all of this excess, that gives us a solid 6 months from September to March of being able to go through and see what this looks like, of having that slow and steady grinding flywheel. So that's what I'm excited about, but the process begins now. The process begins here with SPS sitting at a penny and hopefully not going too far below that if it does, or too high above it. But once we can get to a better place, once we can get through the DEC overhang, that's when we start burning SPS. And I would actually say, as much as I want to see $1 SPS like you guys, not financial advice, and that's not a prediction, but as much as I would love to see SPS go to the moon, I would actually like to see us burn a hell of a lot more of it at this price, and we can't do it until we eat through all of that excess DEC. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.